Alright, we are back in my Trails character power ranking series where I am taking every single game in the Trails series and I'm power ranking their characters. And this was the one that in some ways I was looking least forward to making because up today is Trails from Zero. For those of you who know, this is a game that you very seldom get any choice in your party. You have a core 4 main characters. Occasionally you will have access to some guest characters, the vast majority of whom I am not going to rank here. I will rank the 2 guest characters who you get access to at the very end of the game because it's the very end of the game and that's just how I decided to divvy it up here. Honestly, if it were not for completion and for this series, I would never make a list like this. This is just not a game that really needs a tier list. Again, so to be honest with you guys, I'm not taking this one nearly as seriously as I took some of the others like Reverie or like the Third, where I think there is some cash value in the tier list and there's a lot of characters to discuss and compare. This is completion for my series. This is a chance to spend a little bit more time with me and my channel here. And this is a chance to celebrate the crossbow characters, spend a little time thinking and ruminating about them, and just having some good old-fashioned fun. Alright, on with the show. So you'll notice that I didn't even bother using more than one single tier. We're just ranking them from 6th to 1st tier. So I just have one tier, the SSS, or the We Love the SSS tier, and I'm going to put them from 6th to 1st here. For those of you who perhaps don't know and are just tuning into this series for fun, for starters, thank you so much. But in Trails from Zero, again, you have seriously a core party of 4. Lloyd, Elie, Tio, and Randy. So be advised, I decided to put Estelle and Joshua in because you do have access to them for the final dungeon, but for the most part, you have 4 characters, so when I'm reviewing their abilities and talking about them, if you get any actual tactical value out of this video, I will discuss some of their standout abilities, what role they fill, and that kind of thing. Alright, so coming in at 6th place, this is probably not going to be a surprise to anybody. Out of these 6 characters, the worst, in my opinion, is Estelle. And Estelle has the same problems that she's had in every other game, starting with the fact that her stats are mediocre or worse, basically across the board. And I gotta say, the SSS as it is already basically a perfectly balanced team and a well-oiled machine. And Estelle's, one of her standout, if you want to call it that, crafts in morale, gets very little value here. Because in the SSS, you have 2 warriors and 2 mages, and one of those warriors has an outstanding self-buff as it is. So yeah, I just don't know where you would want to slot Estelle into this party to get value out of her, right? Maybe if you were going for a full striker team like Lloyd, Randy, Joshua, and Estelle, you could get, some benefit out of her morale, but you would be slipping on some good mages at that point. Definitely not something I would do. Yeah, she's the weakest character in the game. Again, you don't really have that much access to her. In my opinion, access to her and Joshua seemed to me just like fan service for the Sky vets like myself when we moved into the crossbow duology. So if you're an Estelle stan, by all means use her. I didn't. Coming in next at 5th place, and maybe this is a hot take, but for me, it's Randy. If you think it's sacrilege that I put one of the core SSS members below Joshua, look, I accept that. But when I put Randy and Joshua up against each other, I just like Joshua more. Joshua still has very good stats, like he has had in every single game prior to this. He's still the fastest character in the game. Randy has a very good delay craft, and Joshua has 2 very good delay crafts. One which takes less delay out of Joshua than it would of Randy, that being Flicker, or Evil Eye, which is just a stronger delay on the enemies. Randy has instant death, so does Joshua. In both cases, death below crafts very rarely impress me, to be honest with you, because in any fight that counts for the most part, they don't work. And Randy does have a rage, and if you followed everything I've said about Agate over the last few videos, you know I really like rage. But if you saw my review of Agate in Trails' first chapter, the original, I would say Randy's rage here has the same problem as that. 60 CP, in my opinion, is just not quite enough. It's not enough to say that you're reliably rage breaking every time you use it, and so that is a problem with it. And yeah, if you're going to give me the choice of like the bruiser striker like Randy or the very fast and versatile arch user like Joshua, I'm going to pick Joshua. And to be honest with you, when I played through the final dungeon in my first playthrough through Trails from Zero, I did sub out Randy for Joshua, and I didn't regret it. Randy's still an amazing character. Canonically, he's my favorite character in the entire Crossbow arc. So if you're a Randy fan, you're in good company with me. But mechanically, not that I think he was bad, I just thought the others in the SSS were better, and I think Joshua's better too. So coming in next, at 4th place for me is Joshua. Again, you only get access to Joshua for the final dungeon, and there's not a lot to say here. If you've been following my series or not, I'll just say the same thing either way. I'm a big fan of speedsters, and Joshua is the quintessential speedster. With good strength and ATS on top of that, he has delay crafts, which are circumstantially useful. You only have access to them in the final dungeon. Do with all that what you will. I used them. Dual Strike is still very good, Flicker's still very good, Evil Eye's still very good, Phantom Raid is still very good. Nothing else to say. I'm a Joshua stan, but I welcome any disagreement in the comments. I'm not taking this one super seriously anyway, okay? Coming in at 3rd place, for me, is Tio. Tio has a pretty good amount going for her. I like characters that have analyzed crafts. That's useful sometimes. Summon Zeit is a very good craft. I don't like that the effect is random, but either way, you're getting a delay craft. Sometimes you're getting a stat down debuff, which is really good. So I respect that as a craft. My favorite of Tio's crafts, again, aside from the fact that she's a good mage, is actually Zero Field. She doesn't get access to it until later in the game, admittedly. And I gotta say, if she got access to it earlier, I would have considered putting her at 2nd place. Because you guys know me, I've talked about Kevin already, and I've talked about Emma already too. I am a sucker for Palace of Eregion and Grail Sphere. I am a complete sucker for an S-Break that is just going to blanket my entire party in a 1 or 2 hit immunity. I think crafts like this are completely broken. They give you so much control of the fight, let you set up without repercussion. And yeah, when Tio gets that craft, she's absolutely amazing and can just totally blanket your party. So yeah, excellent mage with excellent support crafts. If you've been following this series, you know I'm all about that. And speaking of an excellent mage with excellent support crafts, 2nd place for me here is Elie. Elie is just an outstanding character. And I would say she's overall better than Tio because I think she gets some more of her standout crafts earlier than Tio. And she's basically a sturdier, kind of better stats across the board version of Tio, whilst being a slightly worse but still very good mage. And yet, Elie has just a gross craft line. She has an AoE healing and CP battery craft in her normal line. She has an impede craft in her normal line, and I really like impedes in Trails. And she has an area of effect turn acceleration craft. Some of you guys agree with me about Sherazard in thinking that turn acceleration is amazing. Some of you think I overrate it. I'm sticking to my guns for this whole series. I think having the turn acceleration option is outstanding, and Elie has that. In addition to all of that, she has, in my opinion, an outstanding S-Break, with it being her first one, which is kind of like Chloe's first one, right? Just a big, full area heal that can revive your party and reset the fight to your advantage. I love support S-Breaks and having them in the pocket to pick up my team if needed. Again, you put all of this on a good mage with outstanding crafts. Yeah, I think Elie is just a fantastic support unit and the 2nd best character in this game. And that just leaves our protagonist, our good old boy detective Lloyd. I think Lloyd's the best character in the game. I mean, for starters, Lloyd also has a morale strength up boost that, like Estelle does, I forgot to mention that, and you're gonna want to use Lloyd. Just further invalidates Estelle. And it's a good craft. You know, on Lloyd, if you have any other striker in your final party, and you're going to, because it's just the way the game works, they could get benefit from that, even though Lloyd himself doesn't need it. Brave Smash is amazing ranged attack that can seal the enemy. I'm all about that. But Lloyd's big standout craft is Burning Heart, which is just an absurd self-buff. In this game, it might be one of the best self-buffs in the entire Trail series. It gives him a 50% strength, defense, and speed benefit while making him immune to all status ailments and debuffs. A single casting of this does this to Lloyd for 5 turns for a measly 40 CP cost, with the quote-unquote penalty being that at the end of this buff, Lloyd faints for 1 turn. Except you're allowed to negate that by just recasting it before he faints, and I forgot to add that casting this buff doesn't cost Lloyd any delay. So after Lloyd gets Burning Heart, he's going to be running it every single fight, turning him into just a melee, juggernaut, speedster powerhouse. It is completely disgusting. After Lloyd gets this buff, he becomes an absolute unit. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. This buff alone is what I think puts Lloyd in the S tier. It just turns him into such a frontline monster, especially with the kind of support that Elie and Tio can provide from the backline. Yeah, the SSS, it's a well-oiled machine, and that's how I feel about this list. Anyway guys, to me, I would have never made this video but for completion, but I still hope you had fun listening to me talk about these characters a little bit. I love the crossbow duology. I had an absolute blast playing Trails from Zero when I first did. If you never saw my video where I ranked the Trails games, I really did gush about Trails from Zero, so you might consider checking that out. Otherwise, this is Nick BRPG. I hope you had fun with this little video, and otherwise, I'll catch you in the next one when we talk about Trails to Azure.